Hi, hello, welcome to the Old Geezers show on Tuesday, the 29th of November 2022. I'm Chris, and today a few things to bring to you. The first thing I want to talk about is something called digital exclusion, which you may have experienced as an older person. And then we're going to look at some of the facts that actually apply to retirement. It's an interesting one. There's lots of facts and figures about retirement that most of us don't know. I knew one or two, but I didn't know them all. We're going to talk about those. And we're also bringing up a couple of other points. One is, I don't know if you saw our piece this morning, or the little kind of poster, I suppose you'd call it, little news story about the Iceland 10% off for older people on a Tuesday. They do it every Tuesday and it's really worthwhile. But you do have to watch supermarkets these days because it is easy for them to make a mistake with things like special offers. And I just want to bring this to your attention and I'll do that. Okay, we've got a couple of other little bits and pieces that we'll do as well. And we'll see how it all goes. So first of all, digital exclusion. Have you heard that phrase? What it means is that when you have stuff that is what a phrase. When you have things going on that actually kind of exclude people who are not internet connected. I think that's dreadful. I really do. And I wanted to sort of make this little point because I don't know where to go with it really, because I think we ought to kind of make a big point about it. But how we make that point, I don't know. What I'm talking about is this kind of thing. I got a letter from our nice hospital the other day, and it came with my appointment letter for an eye checkup. And what it effectively does is invites you to go on something called their patient portal, which is a website thing. And it means that you can look at your own details and you can look at your own upcoming appointments and stuff. And you can do that all online, and it's wonderful and convenient. But if you're not online, you can't do it. And the thing that nailed me was that although when I did a bit of research, I discovered that it was, in fact, not replacing the written letter. You still have a hospital appointment, you will still get a letter and probably a phone call or two about it. But what this thing didn't do, it didn't actually say that on the letter. So that if you're a person who read the letter moderately carefully, you couldn't find any reference to say, if you don't want to do this, you will still get letters. And that's really important because it gives you the letter gave you the impression that there was nothing else. We'd love you to join our patient portal, but it didn't say, please note, if you don't join the patient portal, you'll still get letters and phone calls. So that, I think, is a minor example of digital exclusion. The more major examples are when people actually do get excluded from doing stuff and from having information because they're not online. I think we're going to look at more and more of this. And if this is something that has ever affected you, I would really love to hear from you. Get in touch with me via the Facebook page or the YouTube page. I'd love to hear from you about what you think about digital exclusion. If something has happened to a friend of yours, I know you're not digitally excluded because you're watching this on the damn internet. But the reality is that lots of people are being cut out of our world in many ways by not being online, and we need to do something about that. And those people are particularly older people who are, as we know, a little bit more vulnerable than the average person. Okay. So what's coming up next? Well, heavens, what I want to talk about next, this is an interesting one. I don't know whether you have heard of this organisation. It is the National Pensioners Convention, and they do a lot of good stuff standing up for pensioners. I thought I'd introduce them to you and see what you thought. This is what they kind of say to people, the rights of older, they stand up for the rights of older people, which I think is really, really important. And they published this flyer the other day, and I thought I'd just mention it to you because it seems to me very worthwhile that we know about this kind of stuff going on, and that maybe we should support the National Pensioners Convention. Certainly, the Old Geezer's Diary, or the Old Geezer's Diary and the Old Geezer's Show, we'll be doing our best to bring you stuff that the National Pensioners Convention says and publicises. Let's have a look at something else that they say. Let's take a look at this one. I think this is a really interesting one. Let me just get rid of this banner because it's hiding some of the words. There we go. These are details that we don't know, to be honest with you. This is one thing that we really should know about as pensioners. We should know where we stand in society, I believe. And so what I'm going to do is just go back to the page and run through a couple of the highlights, because I think these are important facts that we should know as pensioners. Okay, there are 11 million people over 65, my goodness me, and that makes us 19% of the population. That should mean, to be honest with you, that should mean that we should have some power. There are 19% of the UK population are older than 65. That means we're a group that should actually be able to exert a bit of influence and a bit of, a bit of power on the rest of the country. Let's say that's okay. There's been a reduction in our life expectancy. That's really bad news. And the number of years we can expect to spend after retirement without a disabling illness continues to decline. That's awful. Okay, and now let's look at this one. 1 in 5 older people are living in poverty. I have to tell you, that's disgusting. I hope you agree with me. 1 in 5 older people, that's people over 65, are living in poverty, are having to make decisions about how they live based on the fact that they can't afford to live a proper life. I think that's disgusting. We're in the 21st century. We have a government, any governments, that say that they look after their population, and in fact, what we see is governments that don't really care. So there you go. 1 in 5 older people are living in poverty. That's awful. Going down the page a bit more as well, the UK pension is one of the worst in Europe and below the OECD average. We'll be looking at pension matters in the next couple of shows and seeing where we stand on pensions in the UK. We'll get you the exact figures from other countries. So next time you happen to bump into your MP, you can say, why are people in Italy getting 3 times more than we are, or whatever the case is. I think it's really important that people like us know what is happening in the rest of the world and have the ability to explain that to people in power. Okay, what have we got next? Let's go to the next item on this National Pensioners Convention bit. These people are actually trying to get more kind of representation, if you like, for people in our age group. Let's take a look at this one. A commissioner for older people. That's a damn good idea. But the trouble is, of course, that knowing our governments, both parties, they'd like to flex those things in their direction. What we need is an independent commissioner. Oops, wrong button. An independent commissioner for older people. Someone who has actually a bit of oomph and can get their voice out there. That would be useful and good. A national care service. That would be good, like the National Health Service. And a decent state pension. As I said earlier, we will come back to that one. And then we've got something at the bottom here called disappearing services. And what does disappearing services mean? Well, it means the services that we think we have, when we try to access them, we don't have them. And when we look into the future, we probably won't have them again. These services are the kind of services that governments kind of, let's say, they let fall into the wayside, if you like. They kind of say, oh, yes, we do this service, that service. We've given them £20 million, where the need to actually provide a service might be £100 million. So there you go. People are having difficulties accessing public transport, health and social care, as well as good quality housing. We do need, let's be honest, government, we do need to sort out proper services, proper care for older people. Now, I'm going to publish this one as well. This is the actual contact details for these people. I will publish this at some point on our Facebook page as a separate contact detail, because I think these people are worth having a look at. They seem to do a damn fine job for us, and we should support them. Okay, so that's that dealt with. What else are we talking about? Well, I'll come back to you in a minute. Regular viewers of my channels will know that I'm a big supporter of supermarkets who try and look after older people. One of those is Iceland, and Iceland do something really unique in the world of supermarkets. As long as you ask for it, and as long as you can prove it, if you're over 65, you can get 10% off your entire shop in Iceland on a Tuesday. I think that's fantastic. I love it. But you still have to be a bit careful when dealing with supermarkets, because supermarkets are big organisations and supermarkets make mistakes. Take a look at that little proof of that from this morning. I was out there, I was doing my shopping at 8:30 like a good boy, and something went wrong, and I'll show you. Now, I'm a big fan of my local Iceland store. And one of the things that I like about them is that on a Tuesday, they do a 10% deal for people over 60. They give you 10% off everything you buy. So it's worth going for, worth getting in there as early as I can, really, from my point of view, because I get my shopping done and then I'm able to get on with my day. But the one thing that you really do have to do if you're a customer in any of the big supermarkets is check your bill. I always try and remember the special offers and things so that when I come out and check my bill, then I can see if I've got it right, because there is an issue. The issue is that big stores like this rely on someone in head office to actually do the pricing, to put the price on the computer, and then it prints out when you get to this end and when the product is scanned. So I discovered that I bought 2 packets of Alpen, which were £3 each. They should have been £4 for 2 packets, but I was charged £6. So I've just been in, taken in my receipt, and got me £2 back. You do have to check, because the problem is that big supermarkets are pretty pressurised operations and mistakes can happen. It's not the fault of the people in the store. They're a nice bunch and they do the best they can. And there you have it. So do be aware that supermarkets do the best they can. The people who work there are often not responsible for doing things like the price lists and all that kind of stuff in the computers, because they're centralised functions. You couldn't have someone, keyboarding in 20,000 items or whatever the hell it is. But the reality is that you need to be a little bit on the ball, because sometimes they are not. I think they work under a lot of pressure in the offices to putting up the price offers and all that, so making sure that the computers have the right data to charge you. And when that goes wrong, there's not a problem with dealing with it, but you have to deal with it, because otherwise you're out of pocket. And let's face it, when you're an old age pensioner, you don't want to be out of pocket. I sure as hell don't. Okay, let's move on. The final item in today's little show. Well, I don't know whether you are aware of this, but I used to do a local show called Felixstowe Live, a local channel. And one of the things I always liked doing was little bits of relaxing video beside the seaside. Today, I've done another one of those. I'm just going to play it for you. It's a minute. And I might speak over it, but we'll see. So this is my Breathe and Relax channel on YouTube. You can find it there, but I'm also going to start playing some of these on this channel, on the Old Geezer's show, essentially because they're so nice. But if you go to the Breathe and Relax channel on YouTube, you'll be able to string a whole length of them together, and I hope you enjoy them. I think they're really nice, but I just like this kind of stuff. And I try and do it on a kind of daily basis where we see where the day is going. And if it looks nice down on the seafront, I'll nip down the camera and film a little bit. And then hopefully I'll show it to you. Well, that went whoopsie at the end, didn't it? I'm sorry about that. But that's today's show. Now, I have to ask you, I hope you like this. We've got a couple of likes. We've got 3 or 4 people looking at the show. If you're watching on catch up, I'd like to say welcome to the show. I should have said that earlier, but I keep forgetting. But from my point of view, that's today's show. It will be online now for, who knows, eternity. I don't know what the internet's going to do next. But I hope you've enjoyed it and found it interesting. Don't forget that these live shows you are hugely welcome to comment on as we're running along. There's no problem with doing that. I find it interesting to get some comments. I find it interesting to get some likes and some loves. Let us know what you think about what I'm saying, because I'm trying to kind of fulfill a gap for us oldies who don't really get a lot of information about what's happening in our world these days. News, as we all know, is becoming a kind of limited object. You don't get as much news as we'd like to think we do. So there you have it. Okay, let me say this to you. Very important. Thank you for watching the show. I've enjoyed doing it. I'm planning to do 3 or 4 of these every week. And if I can, who knows how long you can keep doing stuff, but I'll try and do my best to keep it going, and we'll see where we go. If you've got something you want to talk about, if you've got something you want to join in with, I will be hugely pleased to hear from you. You can get in touch via Facebook. You can get in touch via YouTube. It's easy. So there you go. I'm Chris. This is the old geezer. Oh, I've got a comment. Good Lord, what have I got? What does this one say? I joined late. So, well, good on you, Nick. Okay, nice to see you there. I hope you're doing well. I hear from you occasionally, but not that often. So take care of yourself. Okay, I'm Chris. This is the Old Geezers show. My God, I have trouble getting my dentures working. And I will see you, I hope, really soon. I should be back with this, I hope, in a couple more days. I may be back tomorrow if I've got something interesting to tell you. We'll just see how it goes. But don't hesitate to get in touch, because the thing that I like best, one of the reasons I do this kind of thing, is because I like to actually hear from you and to hear what you're thinking. Okay, take care.